Fang-tastic. Do you get it? It's Halloween.
Ah.
Welcome. It's Mason and Remy back again. How are you, my friend?
Doing well, and yourself?
I'm additionally fantastic.
Hmm.
In addition to your fantasticism, is mine. I'm sorry.
No, I love that. Actually,
a great way to start a new episode. So let's catch up. What's been going on in the last week? Thanks, thoughts and prayers for first off. Thanks for everybody who's been coming along on our journey, and thoughts and prayers with everybody down in the South after all those, the hurricanes. I have some people who were running from Mother Nature over the course of the last several weeks. Some people in my life that in my circle I talk to, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going up to Georgia to try and get away from this thing. You got to uproot your life." And then they're like, "Oh, also, we're switching schools," and to think about navigating life while escaping Mother Nature, it's just wild to think about. So I know that this episode is weeks in the future from when that happened, but the sentiment remains. Coming up in this episode, talk about a couple of things. I think inspirationally, some of the things for myself, for Remy, that inspire us, and maybe if you've been looking for some inspiration or wondering how that works for folks, maybe like others, maybe I go through my days wondering like what makes this person tick. And I'm sorry if I'm pointing at you right now. Could be anybody. What makes this stormtrooper tick? What is it that gets people up to do what they do? You just checking a box, or do you actually get inspired by stuff? We'll talk about it in this episode, and a few questions that were asked and a few other notes, just basic stuff we want to like kind of catch up to and see how things have been going. Recently, we've been chatting about different events in our lives that have been going on. Big initiative at Remy's kids' schools to sell chocolate was happening for a while. Now we're in like real chocolate season where you can't do those streams cross. Are you able to just say, I'll buy this and then mix it in with your bowl of candy and just put it to good use?
Sure. I think a lot of kids will get those candy bars if they're trick-or-treating in Colombia, which I think is hilarious. But yeah, I think I was going to mention that I bought my first bag of candy corn and it's gone.
So it wasn't for the kids. I was going to say, are you going to put that in a bowl and hand that out? No, you put that in your mouth.
Yeah, I did offer it up to the kids, and they both didn't hate it. It wasn't something that they were like reaching for afterwards. If they like it, they'll have like 2 or 3 or 4 of whatever. But yeah, I got through that in probably 5 days and had a dentist appointment today. So
that's like an ironic course of events. I want to just pause for a second on how I would have loved to have seen your children's faces. It's sweets. It's candy. Like even when I got a bit of honey or a Necco wafer when I was a kid, it was still candy.
Yeah. And you put it in your mouth.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But again, they moved into a separate pile from, your honorable Kit Kats and his Lord Reese's peanut butter cups and the other royalty of the candy family. So not surprised that they didn't come back to it, but I still would have loved to have seen like what that reaction was. A kid's face with candy corn for the first time, because as a kid, you love every sweet. It doesn't matter. You're like, yay, candy corn.
It's a straight, hard ass sugar.
Yeah, of different colors. It's not fancy. It is the go-kart of candies, right? And the Reese's peanut butter cup being your
like a Bentley, like Rolls Royce
right. Okay. Just as long as we're on the same page.
Some comfort. But before we get into what's going on in your life, remind me to talk about, because you mentioned the hurricane, Lieutenant Dan. I want to wrap back around to Lieutenant Dan after you're done with what's going on in your life, because I maybe want to dive into a little bit of a pre-topic before we get into the inspiration thing. Yeah. Everything's going well here. I think Emerson is going to go as Stitch from Lilo and Stitch this year.
Halloween
costumes. Yeah. And I'm not sure if Leo has decided yet, but it will likely be something from Minecraft. Also, wanted to touch on this. I didn't realize this until about 2 weeks ago, that if you have a Nintendo Switch, which is the only gaming console that we have right now, that you can also get Fortnite on Switch. So I downloaded Fortnite
Yeah, buddy.
and I've been playing Fortnite on Nintendo Switch. And I have a
Yeah.
question for you.
Yes, yes,
Is
yes.
this
Okay, so real quick bit of
Yeah,
history. I taught Remy how to play Fortnite. I think we covered it in one of our previous
yeah.
episodes. If you have not seen it, like by far and large, the biggest video game of our time.
Mhm.
A revolutionary between battle royale and kids, and you can be Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Thanos, Goku, anything in this game, and that's the beauty of an original IP like that. So in teaching Remy, he has now downloaded it, and I feel like you introduce your children to music, and then one day you hear them listening to it.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like. I'm
Okay,
so proud. It's just a
okay.
proud papa moment for me. So you have a question about go ahead,
Yes.
your
So
Fortnite
I
question.
will say the thing that I did not like, and I probably would have gotten used to had I had a fast enough computer to
Already know
handle
what you're gonna say.
Fortnite. Is obviously the toggles on, or the keyboard, using the keyboard to navigate the
Oh,
scene,
okay.
right? I appreciate, because with the Nintendo Switch that we got a couple years ago, it came, or we got a you put the, what are they called? The
The dock.
It's a controller dock essentially for
You
the
put the Joy Cons on the side of
Joy-Con.
the
Yeah.
Switch, and the
So
Switch goes into the dock, which then goes on the TV. Yes.
no, 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 no.
No.
You take out the Joy-Cons and you put them into what feels to me the closest to a Nintendo 64 controller. You know what I mean? You put the two Joy-Cons in and it becomes an actual controller. Um,
This is the Pro controller you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
Perhaps.
They have a specific bracket that you can put the Joy
Yeah.
Cons in that will make it look and feel like the old school controller. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I know that feels way more comfortable now. I realize that you're not as agile. There's some things that you got to work around. You're probably not, as good as the pros. Okay, so my question is this. So I've been doing this zero build because that was another thing that made
Yes,
this way too complex, was having
yes.
to build these forts and get the wood and get the
Bro,
bricks and all that kind of stuff.
no one will crank the 90s at a speed of a 10-year-old. Like no one can, and that's by the way,
Yeah.
cranking 90-degree angles and building a tower all the way up so that you can then have the height advantage as you fight the other people that are around. But they're doing the same thing. So you guys are just doing this and
Yeah.
battling back and forth. No build is where you don't build anything. So you're
Yeah.
just straight on PvP, player versus player, no building
GoldenEye.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
That's where I'm at.
The way it
So
was meant to be.
has this game fallen off in popularity so much that the game is mostly bots now? Because
No.
I
Okay.
I I ended up in second place the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
night.
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. And this, as someone who works in video games, is very important. This is the first time user experience, or the FATUI, as we call it.
Mm,
This is where you're going to teach them how to play, and you don't want it to be too difficult. They're not going to throw you into a PvP lobby day one, bro. I'm sorry to tell you, but you got that good on your first game because they knew that you were the first time playing it, right? Have you played it since?
from the first
Don't.
time?
I
Yeah,
would say, okay, okay,
yeah.
don't because you
I've
probably
been
won't.
leveling up, bro.
Yeah, well, okay, okay, then keep at it. Then keep at it. Now there is what's called skill-based matchmaking, right? Where they can see the stats of a player, how many kills you got in a round. I'm sorry, eliminations.
Mhm,
How
mhm.
many different objectives you obtained, your
Okay.
gameplay style, and they will match you with folks that are similar. But in your first games, it is very well known in the gaming world that yeah, you'll probably face bots in the
Okay.
first games.
So this makes sense. This makes a lot more sense to me, because I was kind of like, am I choosing a novice level map or a novice level uh game
Mhm.
to start? But it makes sense to me that they would already know that, because I'm a level, what, 5 or 6, that they're not going to put me in a game with people that are like ninja
You're
and
not
all these.
facing Ninja,
Yeah.
right? You're not.
So
No, no,
yeah.
100%. And this is, I mean, this is a valid question, valid community concerns from all sides. Totally understand what you're saying. Wouldn't it be great if life did this for us? Or maybe is that what our first job is? They're like, it's not that serious, bro. Just get out there and get second place, and then now you can really go. That's
Yeah,
college. Is
yeah,
that
yeah,
college? Is
yeah.
college the tutorial? But no, it's just interesting in that it's very funny that you are aware enough to go like, wait a minute, because I think a lot of people are like,
Mhm.
this is my first game. Did I really get second? Hell yeah,
Yeah.
you did,
Well, I
bro.
know
You should.
how hard it was when I played it with you, and mind you, I was, I wasn't
Oh,
super keen on the controls, but like I jump into a map and be like, all right, I don't have a gun in the first, 3 minutes of this game. I'm toast,
yep.
right?
Mhm.
But somehow I was okay for a while, and then you encounter somebody, right, and you're just like moving like this again
Yeah,
and shooting at nothing, and
missing.
it's like,
Yeah,
how is
but
this
that
guy just as bad as
I
I
was gonna
am?
say, but then you notice they are too, and they're
Yeah,
just like doing weird stuff, like
it must be a Switch player.
pulling out a different gun, just pulling out guns for fun, not knowing, just in
Yeah,
a bush and doing weird stuff. Yeah, that's the first time user experience,
all right,
And
so
then listen, it is possible that you will run into bad players that are like that are new players that don't really know, but you will also run into the Giga Chad who is sweating his way, W keying at you, which
mhm,
is just pushing, flanking, high ground, all of it, bro. There's so many strategies.
yeah, like, I
But
got hit by a car a couple times, like
Yep. Yeah, there's cars now. There's all kinds of insanity that they can do in that stuff. But that's kind of the fun of it is you get to go into a different place where, that happens here. You don't get to use a health pack and just get up and keep going.
Yeah.
Remember, kids, health packs and revives aren't real. You only get one game over in this life. Brought to you by the Mason and Remy Foundation.
So that's been happening every once in a while. It's just it takes a while to get through a game, and I
It
zero
does. It
time
does.
to like. And now the kids are like, "Ooh, Dad, will you play Fortnite?" Because I won't let them play. But for some reason, they watch. It's the same thing. Like it's the same. They're just not pulling the trigger on the gun. I don't know.
Just yeah,
We're
enjoy
in that
in
we're in that weird like. Do we expose them to this or not? And then Leo gets home and he's like, "Dude, all my friends, bruh."
no, he's not broing you.
Oh
Whoa,
yeah.
what?
Oh
Whoa,
yeah.
whoa. You see that?
Yeah, you got a disco party going on there.
I don't know how it started. The number of times I've tried to get this thing to work on call, by the way,
There she
doesn't
goes.
work. Middle
Yeah.
of a podcast. I've been saving this thing for a good moment. Stupid. I don't know why I try.
So
I just
he'll be
left it
like,
on apparently and made a loud enough noise that went off. So I apologize for the
"No, you're
distraction, but
good. You're good."
this is my life.
He'll be like, "Dad, why are you being so sus? Like, bruh,
So
all
you're
of my friends are playing Fortnite. Why can't I play it?"
is he man? How old is Leo again?
He is Skibbity Ohio 7.
And he's already rizzed out.
Oh
Wow.
yeah,
Like
it's
I was gonna ask if he was bringing all the vernacular, but you've said all of it here,
mhm,
so obviously he is, bruh. I'm
yep,
sorry, low key, but high
mhm.
key, you know. Um,
Both of them. Like Emerson's in it too. She'd be like, "Bruh,
there's no escaping
bruh."
it, and I'm gonna say the same thing about cell phones and these video games, man. If you don't let them, they'll want it more. So it's better to let them while they're hearing your thing. I mean, this is just the experience I had. Keaton had a cell phone at like 12. He's played video games his whole time. He's going to college. He's got a girlfriend. Life is good. He's not weird. It's great. You know what I mean? Like we had a good experience, and I know that those are things that people question when they raise kids. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
what time should I introduce it to? But I had good experiences with it. Alicia, as a mother, is not a helicopter parent. That is, and I kind of like I am. I'm like, it teaches kid how to cut some food because I was an adult that didn't know how to cut food, and I don't want him to be that way. But I think that letting them kind of explore is a good thing, especially if it's in a safe place. And dad's playing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So does that
That's the
mean you have to get a second console that you can then play Fortnite with them? No? Oh,
that's gonna be a Christmas present from somebody. Uh, I'm not dropping $300 on a Switch right now.
I I am going I think it's on mobile. You might be able to get it on your phone.
Mm,
I
yeah,
don't want to say it too loud if they're listening.
yeah. That's see that then there's not enough control. then I don't feel
That's
like I
fair.
would,
That's
you know what I
100%
mean?
fair. Yep,
I'm
you're
like
at a
right in that
disadvantage.
sweet
But
spot for
you al
me.
you also get a little bit of aimbot though, you know what I mean? Like, you get a little, like, aim assist. Yeah, so there's a little bit of that. That's a huge thing. Like, me with my keyboard, my mouse, I got accuracy. You know what I mean? I'm like
Mhm.
pixel size accuracy. You don't have that with your little thumb Joy-Con.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
you get a little bit of help. You get a little
Yeah.
bit of little, "Let me help you up there, bud." And when you're mobile, they're like, Just shoot in the general direction. You're fine."
Yeah. Yeah. So
Uh,
that's kind of what we're going through right now. Halloween on the horizon, Fortnite on the TV. That's pretty much it for us. How about you? Anything going on in the world of Mason?
yeah, and man, and I know how much you don't like the dentist. So for you to be getting through a dentist appointment and the candy season, man, um, my
Yeah.
thoughts are with you as well as the hurricane victims. I'm sorry. That's bad. I don't shouldn't cross those streams, but I'm still thinking of you. For
Yeah.
me, like everything's been great here. I went to see it's my mom's birthday, their anniversary, their 50 like third anniversary at this point. So went and hung out with the parents. Had been doing a lot of traveling. Went to see that Billy Joel show. Went to go out to LA for a little bit. I've had some time to relax now. Oh, I'm sending you 2 photos, and you can look at them now, and we can put these things in later. The first is what I did in the spring, little raised garden bed on a little bit of a stone kind of thing off my patio, and then in the last few nice days, just before last weekend,
Wow.
I tore it all out and built a circular raised garden bed that
Nice.
is going to be a nice herbal home for us. We're gonna put a little basil, a little rosemary.
I like it.
And we're gonna do some planting in this area here, and I think I got to get the garlic in the ground because it's supposed to be there the whole winter. So I'm about to do some cold weather gardening. Something I've been in. I don't even eat vegetables, bro. What am I doing? But
Well,
this is all just it's fun and it's all kind of nice stuff. We got a nice new house. I know in the pictures you're like, what's up with that? What's up with that yard though, bro? Look, the ground here is
that grass
garbage.
you've been talking about.
They were trying to charge me $15,000 for sod, and I said, nah, I got this.
Yeah.
But I want to build out the yard before I go growing grass that I'm just gonna have to tear out, is kind of what I'm thinking.
Well, it looks great from the first to the like from the first raised bed to the circular. Like the grass is filling in. You're doing
It,
good.
it, it is in the back. I've put a little bit more in the background behind that. And I did along the side there too, but that area specifically, we were talking about maybe putting in a little greenhouse,
Hmm.
or something, because we had an issue where we were growing squash and we were growing cucumbers, we were growing tomatoes, and they were getting eaten, and something pooped in one of our. How are these animals getting in here? I've got it all covered up, but still, somebody's, I don't know, cat dropped a deuce in my zucchini plant, so it's like, all right, we got to do something about this.
Yeah.
So we're talking about putting in that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? But that's not going to happen this year. It's not going to happen like now. It's in the future. So I wanted to do something before the winter came with this area next to the patio. So that's something I've been doing, and I did that in the last week. Like, just tore it out, put up the built the little circular thing, went to Home Depot only 7 times. It was great.
That's not bad.
Not bad, not bad.
Now, I think what you need to do is you need to go back to Home Depot once more
Mhm, I need
and
some
get
more rocks.
pond liner and
Yep.
make that a koi pond.
Bro, ooh, or fish. Well, not in the winter here. It maybe not, but
Well, you just throw a heater there. You're good.
it's gonna freeze.
I know
It
you
is
put a heater in the water and then you don't have to worry about it
a
freezing.
heater in the water
Yeah.
outside of my house. Okay, that's a
Every one
concept.
of these tanks have heaters in them.
Inside your house, yeah.
Good.
Inside, like, it's more the outside thing that worries me. I
Oh,
might be up for having something down here. Like, I'd be up for that. Like, I love marine life.
let's
I'm
do
a
it.
big
Let's put a saltwater tank in your house. I know a
big
guy.
Do you? Okay,
Yeah.
maybe. No, that's what's been kind of like my projects since like not been traveling in the last week or two. We had like 1 or 2 good weeks left of weather, and I knew I couldn't do anything in the yard because I'm like going to California one week and then going to see my parents the next week and then going to St. Louis the next week. And when you try and grow grass, you have to water it like every day. And I don't have like an automatic watering system. So I've been slacking in some departments, but trying to make other stuff happen here we just bought this house right after it was built. So there's nothing here. Um, trying to increase my property value.
Yeah.
As in the long run with no end date, right? Like there's no I must have it done in time. It's just like let's do these things and eventually it'll be home.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
And
you
it's
learn everything along the way, and you are better for it.
yeah, man, I never thought I'd be into landscaping. I never thought I'd know about masonry and like brick adhesives and leveling paver, patio paver, stone and all this other stuff that I'm like, I'm did you know this is a weird offshoot. When I say bull float, you don't think of concrete, do you? Do you?
Oh, no.
There's a big thing that they put that they float across concrete that's called a bull float.
Mm.
I learned that this week. If you said bull float to me a week ago, I would have been like, "Woo!" You know what I'm saying? No, it's an actual tool that they use in concrete.
Shots.
It's
The milk
exactly,
show.
exactly. No, but now I'm looking at like I want to do concrete work. I think I mentioned it to you a couple podcasts ago, but now it's getting cold out, and that stuff requires like being outdoors. It's,
Yeah.
nice weather, so that might be a springtime activity for me. But that's kind of what I'm looking at. Like everything's calm here. We're back in the school season. We're coming up on the holidays. We're decorating the house with little zombies and stuff like that here and there. We're getting the Halloween candy as well. Last year, I bought many bags in advance. This year, I have not. We have had a couple of Kit Kat bags. I just bought my first bag of candy this week when I saw that they were buy two get one free Kit Kats.
Mm.
So I got like a couple of different varieties of Kit Kats, and I've eaten 70% of them. Yeah,
Naturally.
I like every year, I want to stay away from it, but I just know for a fact that this is diabetes season, and it's gonna be coming for me.
Yeah.
My dad battles it. I know everyone in my family has battled it, and I like just in the way that I'm like ice cream tonight. I know I'm gonna battle it. You know what I mean? I know it's coming. So those are my battles. That's what's going on with me. We do have a couple of things to catch up on, but you wanted to bring up Lieutenant Dan. Now, are you talking about Forrest Gump, Lieutenant Dan, or the
No.
guy that was streaming in the hurricane?
Yeah. So there was a couple of TikTok people that approached this man who they called Lieutenant Dan. I think his real name is Terrence. I could be wrong on that part.
Mm.
But this is the world we live in now, where this guy's probably just walking the docks and he sees this and he goes, content. I'm going to make a story. I'm going to follow this guy who says he's going to ride out Hurricane Milton on his boat,
Mhm.
which doesn't seem like a logical thing. The more I thought about it, I was like, well, you just kind of rise with the surge, right? So you're just kind of on top of the water the entire time. Anyways, of course, he starts making money off this video. He puts up a GoFundMe for Lieutenant Dan, who is obviously not in a good place right now financially, I would imagine.
Right, as someone who, if I remember correctly, is missing a leg,
Yeah.
given the Lieutenant Dan
Mhm.
moniker, but is living in this boat, and this is his plan: is while everyone else evacuates, he's just going to tie off on the dock and
Yes.
ride it out.
Ride it out. So the TikToker has, I think, good intentions, starts a GoFundMe, wants to get him a new boat. They originally had it at $2,500. We know the story. We know where this goes. $45,000 later. Now we're in this huge financial we're in this controversy now about who gets the money that was raised. And on top of that, Lieutenant Dan is a convicted felon of
Okay.
like 15 times. This dude has like 15 mugshots out there. Like,
Let's
who are we helping right now?
yeah. So real quick, like a couple of notes on this because I know a couple other takes too. I don't know if you know who Aiden Ross is when I say that name. He's a
Yeah.
streamer. I heard at one point he offered him a bunch of money as well to stream on Kick, I think is the platform that he's on. And then redacted it, like, and then was like, never mind. And same thing with what you're saying is that we jump onto a viral topic so quick that nobody does what journalists were supposed to do, which is vetting sources and going the distance, doing your due diligence, before you raise $45,000 for a convicted homeless felon who,
Yeah.
by the way, has already busted out stuff like the N-word on his live streams. So he's not exactly doing great in the aftermath
Yeah.
either. You know what I'm saying? Like,
This isn't the guy with the golden pipes, right? This isn't
no, well, and even that guy didn't go the same way, right? Like even that guy had his issues. Like people are human, and that's the hardest part, I think, for all of us to understand is we're all not without fault. And even someone who is in their most desperate state, I'm going to ride out a hurricane because I don't have any other options. I want to help this guy. Wait, why don't you have any other options? Oh,
yeah.
because you're dealing with the consequences of your actions.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't help. That would have been as much as it took. Like a quick search on whatever this guy's name is would have probably brought up public records of his previous crimes. But TikTokers aren't doing that.
Yep. Yeah. So I wanted to touch on that just as kind of like a state of the social media and where we're at right now.
Yeah, just state of the world that
It's like,
everybody
it's
is
so
so quick to
backwards.
jump onto the viral moment. It is backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. So that happened, and then the UFO that landed or crash landed in DC that nobody saw. That there was
Bro, I'm hoping right now that you're just messing with me.
nope.
Like, but I don't know. I don't know anything about
There was
this
at
one.
least 3 or 4 videos that I saw
Okay.
on TikTok of a giant streak across the sky. It was a smoke streak across the sky.
Brother.
And police presence in DC, like a lot of police presence in DC, and no national news covered this, no anything covered it. And first I'm like, oh, this is like a Starlink launch, or a Starlink is flying through the air, because that's typically what you'd see a trail of lights, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, what is it? UFOs? No, it's
Oh yeah, all
Starlink.
the satellites moving in unison. Yeah, I've seen that too.
There was multiple sightings of this event that occurred last week in DC that no news outlets reported on. It was seeming to be covered up. And because I believe in aliens, and I think that we're not alone, and they might be amongst us right now,
Oh man.
that definitely happened.
Okay.
We're here
First,
now.
I didn't know we were kicking into Conspiracy Corner, but we definitely have a new weekly feature. At this point, I think it's been a few weeks in a row that we've talked about possibly different conspiracy theories, UFOs, aliens. Remy believes. I don't know if I've ever shared my, I guess, stance on aliens
Mhm.
publicly. I have almost never wanted to say it out loud.
Exclusive.
Here it comes. I don't know if I want to believe. I'm afraid if I believe, it'll be real. But if I don't believe, then they'll show up and it'll be real. I'm afraid to take a stance on aliens and ghosts. They are in the same boat for me. If I believe too hard, I'm going to be really sad when I find out they don't, or it's going to take me forever chasing this thing, right? But if
Sure.
if I don't believe, someone's going to show me. Someone's going to prove me wrong,
Yeah.
and then I'm the fool. So I don't know if I'm willing to take a stance. I
Okay.
am Sweden.
Sweden, Switzerland.
I am Switzerland. I'm editing this week's episode, so yeah, I'll take care of that one.
I think if you saw Elon Musk on stage with Donald Trump the other week, that you were like, oh, Elon could be an alien, like that.
Okay,
And
all right.
the fact that I mean, I don't know if you saw the Starship launch, but then they caught it with
They
the
got it. Yes,
tongs
yeah.
and everything. I watched that all live. I was super nerd about that. So, I'm up at 6:30 in the morning watching this thing take off and land in the ocean and all the things. But I think that it works because he's connected with the extraterrestrial world.
Okay, so I was just going to say, I think your conspiracy, what you're saying is that the aliens are masquerading as Elon Musk and bringing their technology to us.
Yeah.
You know what you guys need? Electric cars. You know what you guys need? Autonomous robots. Have you seen Optimus?
No.
He released their, I guess, AI infused cybernetic robot army, basically. If you want to do a quick search for like Optimus Elon Musk, you'll see the rollout of all these robots
Oh
that
yeah,
came
the
out.
robot guys, the cowboy bartender and
There were well, I mean, that might be Westworld on HBO that you're talking about. I'm not sure. But it sounds right. Yeah, it sounds like your conspiracy in this episode of Conspiracy Corner is that Elon Musk is bringing alien technology to us. I
yeah.
mean, if I'm an alien and I'm trying to think of how I can better humanity, not a bad idea, not a bad approach. Because if they came down, we'd start shooting, bro. We would just start blasting. Like, the second they rolled in, one of our dumbass leaders would be like, hit the button, hit the
Yeah.
button, hit the button. They would like not even try to talk to anybody. So I think it might be a great idea. So if I'm an alien, I think I endorse this as an idea to bring humanity into the 21st century.
Yeah. But you have to be an alien who is self-aware. I don't think he knows he's an alien.
Oh, wow.
So
we're talking about we're talking about mind control / right? Like you're talking about wiping memory.
Mm-hmm.
So he's was he implanted? Was he swapped?
That's a good question. And I'll get back to you next week on Conspiracy Corner.
Conspiracy Corner. That's actually interesting. Wow. Yeah, that's the cowboy bartender. Okay, yeah. And it also does look like Westworld. I'm not sure if you saw Westworld at all.
I didn't, no.
They kind of look like that.
Okay.
And it's weird. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but as someone who grew up with a brother who absolutely loves Star Trek, all of us in our phones is exactly how Gene Roddenberry wrote it. Everybody on an iPad is exactly how Star Trek said it was going to happen. When they come into the room, what was the other show? Quantum Leap? Right?
Yep.
Sorry, Ziggy. I don't know what's going on, but we as humans can only take inspiration from those with the mind to create it. You know what I mean? Or they're aliens, as Remy suggests here in Conspiracy Corner.
The timing is impeccable.
Thank you. Do you want to put a cap on that? We'll come back next week, maybe with some new. We have to like start making a checked box for a new conspiracy every week. I don't want to do it again.
We'll come back with the DNA results.
Oh, okay.
We'll find out.
All right.
It was off to the lab.
Interested to find out more. A couple of notes to follow up on. Thank you to everybody that's checked out episodes in the past here. I want to go through a couple of comments I saw. Michael said, for some info, and we've talked about the Savannah Bananas in a couple of episodes now. The Savannah Bananas have a wait list, last I knew, of over 1 million people for tickets for their home games in Savannah.
That's crazy.
In Georgia there, he said it's a lottery just for the opportunity to purchase tickets. It does not guarantee tickets if you win that lottery. They sold out at every game last year. He said it's incredible how viral they've gone and how much they've grown. Good luck to you.
So maybe I am just like underestimating the power of the banana.
I think we are. And the power of social media.
Sell out stadiums.
Right.
Here I am thinking that they need to get a head count so that they don't need to open the upper deck. And we're far beyond that.
Two things. I first find comfort in being out of touch with trends. It's so much more fun than explaining trends to people. I like to consume. Whereas at one point in my life, I made myself mad following them and trying to keep up with everything that's going on in the world. Because if you went on the air the next day and someone brought it up, you didn't know what it was about. You're an idiot. You're out of touch. Now, would love being out of touch. If I can, just for it, fuck touching. I don't want to touch anything. I don't want to touch anybody. I don't want to know about nothing. I just want to be in my happy space, living my life. I'm sorry if I'm that guy now, but sorry if I'm part of the problem. But
no, it feels good to be out of touch.
I love not touching.
Mm-hmm.
But the Savannah Bananas would be pretty cool to see. It looks pretty cool. Like the things I've seen on TikTok and the videos I've seen of what they do. I was gonna say, would you call it a sport? Because I would call it entertainment. Have we found a new branch of sports entertainment, and how long until the WWE buys it?
True.
Because
But,
if you if
they did the whole XFL thing, right?
which is still a
And
thing, which then got bought by The Rock, who's now also a part owner of TKO Entertainment, which owns WWE. I'm not saying it's all a conspiracy, but we were just in the conspiracy corner. So
I'm sad that it's not what I thought it would be.
the
I'm sad
XFL, you
that it's
mean?
not like, suplexing and all that kind of stuff. It's
You
actually
thought
like
they were gonna
legit. It's like legit football, right? There's some different rules here and there. Um, but to me, I feel like, watching like Blitz, like NFL Blitz, or
Oh, what a
you know,
classic.
yeah,
What a classic
one of
game.
those, or hits, or whatever the hockey one was, where you could break the rules and you could do the crazy things. Like, that's what I thought it was. But
Man.
I'm sitting here thinking, okay, so the Harlem Globetrotters are world renowned, right? So they're the,
Yes.
fun little basketball league or whatever. But I'm not clamoring to go see a Harlem Globetrotters game, because I kind of get the shtick. I wonder when the Savannah Bananas thing has to expand into other teams, has to get more legit, has to, become like there's more character teams in the universe.
Yeah.
I don't know how that expands, but I would imagine after I've seen it once, do I need to go back and see it again?
No, yeah, no, this Harlem Globetrotters thing. You can get into that thing where you're just doing the same thing over and over again. But I think the Harlem Globetrotters could learn something from the Savannah Bananas right now
Mhm.
in how to bring their product into the next generation, into the next, uh, yeah, I guess into the future. Because how could this turn into soccer? Like whole teams, like doing dances and then scoring goals and doing that thing. And really, when the XFL came, I just wanted to see like the quarterback come out and go like, "Listen up, St. Louis,
Yes.
I'm coming to your town and I'm gonna do the Dougie. I'm gonna dance in your end zone." You know what I mean? Like I wanted the promos that they cut. That's what I want when I watch baseball. Like I wanted to see Yadier Molina come out there and do a promo,
Yeah.
and that music hit, fireworks, and for him to come out, and then we play baseball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the crossover that I want. And I don't feel like we're moving that way. Man, what a great idea an NFL Blitz style real life show would be. With just a few players on the field. You know what I mean? If you're like a huge strategy guy or athlete, sure, go play the real game. But if you want to like just have some fun, let's have like a 4v4 blitz style. The other thing I thought of when you said that was NBA Jam. He's
NBA
on
Jam.
fire.
Hell yeah.
Like they do these. I don't know if they've had the Gus Macker where you are, but they would do these
Mhm.
like 3v3 street ball tournaments. Like, let's go. Get some trampolines in there, do some flips over a guy. Let's get it. There's missed opportunities out there. And I think the Savannah Bananas are innovating. And if they're making money like it seems like they are, it won't be too long until, I don't know, Mr. Banana goes, "Hey, what do you guys think about the Georgia Peaches?"
Mhm.
And then next thing you know, you know what I mean? You got another sports team. Doesn't matter what team it is. You can do repeat, rinse and repeat. It's what we do. Sequels. See Hollywood. They're doing fine with
Yeah.
no original ideas. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I think you're onto something there.
Oh,
And
I'm guessing that Mr. Banana himself has probably thought deep into the future at this point.
I hope so.
I've seen a couple interviews that he's done, and he's like, "Dude, the first year we did this, we didn't have enough concessions for people."
Oh, is that the dude in the top hat? I think
Yeah,
I've seen him. Yeah, I know
yeah.
who you're
He's
talking.
like, we were so unprepared, and it
Yeah.
was embarrassing. And
Mhm.
now we're here where we're like, yeah, we're in stadiums now, like actual legit stadiums,
Mhm. Yep.
and people
And
watch,
everybody
and here they are.
everybody watching that is like, that's not baseball. They're doing it wrong. I'm sorry, being left behind
Mm.
in a way because the generations are changing. And
And kind of missing the point.
yeah, that's fair too. Just have a little fun. Loosen up there, guy. I'm going back into our questions and comments. I saw. What about the theory that Garth is a serial killer? And the underlying comment, I don't know, but I like it. This is a well-known theory that I think was a lot of people commenting on after we had some topics about Garth lately. I haven't seen an update on that story. Have you?
Yeah. No, I haven't.
Also not
Then-
following because I don't touch.
Yeah, he just said he wanted to hold hands through this. So, and then I said, no, I don't want to hold your hand.
Nobody,
It's
no,
so
nobody does.
weird. Just like, hey guys, let's just
I
welcome
got
back.
music to play. Let's not think about that person that I allegedly
Yeah,
hurt, and
yeah.
scarred for life.
When Garth is sitting on the couch at home, thinking about playing with his excavators tomorrow.
By the way, that's Garth talking in third person.
Yeah. Eating ice cream just like you,
Just
and
like Garth
sitting
is
next
like
to
you.
Miss Yearwood,
Mhm.
just bowing down to
Just
her.
being the
She
best.
is,
It's the
oh,
best thing. Being
I
Mr.
don't
Yearwood
deserve,
is the best thing
don't
I ever did.
yeah.
By the way, I went down the rabbit hole of, while we were talking about Chris Gaines, and I went down the rabbit hole of the SNL episode that he did. If you have not seen he
Oh,
hosted an episode
yes.
where Chris Gaines performed.
Yes.
Um, I ended up in a rabbit hole after that whole conversation, so we can skip that for this episode. Last question I had, and this might require us to do a little more discussion. Love the podcast. Dre Tronina said, sorry, I butchered your name, but really appreciate you subscribing and everything. If you had a chance to do your own station today, what would you do to innovate the experience? Put on the program director hat. Our station wouldn't make it.
No.
No one would let us do it because the game is it needs itself too much. Like my first thing would be don't play whatever's on the chart. Play actual songs people want to hear. Provide entertainment that people enjoy.
Mhm.
Don't try to make money. Don't start off trying to make money because that shouldn't be about that.
Yep. It should
And
be about-
already cool, bam, and then we just got shot down.
yeah.
No one's gonna pick that up.
We've had this discussion a lot in like other forms of my life at this point, and whether that be my wife's business
Mhm.
or reef builders or whatever, but it's about building that tribe in the beginning and getting those diehard 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people that also go out and tell friends and go tell friends and go tell friends. And that's kind of how you would build that. So there was a podcast in the building when we were there that didn't have, like, they may have 100, 200 people on their live stream, but these guys it's $1 million show. And why is it $1 million show? Well, all of the people that listen to the show also support the sponsors, and it doesn't matter how many people are listening. It just matters how much those companies can make via your show and that support that those listeners give the sponsors. So I just thought that was a cool thing. There's so much advertising that happens on broadcast media nowadays that it's so detached. Like it's here's another lawyer commercial, here's another whatever. But when you actually, like, when I develop a relationship with the client and now we have a friendship and now we are helping each other at that point, people see that, they want to be involved in that. So I think your point to try not to make money, or don't make this about finances in the beginning, is crucial, because if you're doing everything right, that'll eventually happen anyway.
Yep.
And you don't have to put the pressure on some random sponsor that's going to give you X amount of dollars just because they have deep pockets. Well, that could be a supplement company, and the guy goes off on a tirade about female officers at some point, and now
Just
you're
one example of
now
many.
you're attached to that. Now your
Random.
brand is attached to this brand that is now seen in a negative light, and but you have to go on the next day and be like, buy this caffeine pill, it'll help you lose weight.
Yeah, ignore that. I'm getting paid $35 a minute for this, and that's
Yeah.
what's important. And did I use a window company? No. Did I use a supplement? No. Did they want me to pay it? Yeah. Like, did they pay for it? Yeah. This is what an endorsement is. But then we had those folks like I got my engagement ring at Decor. Remy got his at Mort's Royce, and we went on our honeymoons because of relationships with Mike and the folks at Travel House St. Louis. And by the way, I'm planning a trip next year. I'm still in contact and going to reach out about working with them again, because these are people. Some people say this, if I'm going to do a commercial for somebody, I want to do it for people that I trust and endorse. And that's really it, like on that level. But those people who would want to put us on the air would be more concerned with the other. The numbers. how much generated revenue from the endorsements you get are you bringing to the show? Are you bringing to the station that in turn justifies keeping you employed? And can they move it around?
Mhm.
You know, when you look at any radio station that has, say, 5 morning shows, are they all endorsing the same products? Take a look, find out, then break down the budget that was probably handed to them and see how they split it up to hit the different demos and those kind of things. And that's all such garbage when it comes to thinking about what we did and what we wanted to do, which was be like creative and inspirational and fun and you know what I mean? And do these kind of different things that aren't about that. It's not about creating an event that they can sell. It's not about, oh wait, yes it is. I'm sorry. Yes, it is.
Not at
If
the ideal station that we're
not for
building.
us. No, not for us. No, not for us, but for them, that is what it's about. If there is no bull float trip, I heed my words. There is no bull. There will be a lot of people who don't like the reality of that statement. But if there wasn't an event that fueled that as much as it has, they would have given up that country fight a long time ago.
Mhm.
But because of the money that and other events and other radio stations, listen, whether you're sister strutting, whether you're garage sailing, or having your big free show where you have to pay for parking and all the drinks, it's about the revenue. That artist that's coming to play, that's paying back a debt. We played the song, you play the show.
Mhm.
It's not about what it should be about. And if you're a business and you're hiring someone to be in business, you're not going to hire us. We're not about that business.
Yeah.
I'm not about that business. That's somebody else's job. Our job was to be entertaining, go on the air, be creative, have fun, do these things that would then in turn turn people on to the station. And it did. That's why we're here talking. You talked about that first initial group of people that identify with you. I saw one person at Billy Joel who was like, I listened when I was growing up. They don't forget these moments where we went into a crowd and gave somebody tickets or took a picture, said hello. It's real easy, but it's real hard.
Mhm.
Um, Putting on a program director hat is something I've thought about. Even back to the first time when you and I met 15 years ago or whatever, it was 20 years ago or whatever it was at this point. I was like, I'm at a crossroads where I can be an air talent and go down the morning show path, or I can go into the management path, which by the way, in hindsight, I made the right decision. I'm no manager. I am no manager. And I know this now. I'm a better soldier than I am a sergeant. And I enjoy it down here on the battlefield more than I do in the war room. Um, Maybe that's because I'm afraid to take responsibility for the soldiers on the field that aren't myself. I can only control this, right? Like, I can only do so much. Um, but that's an inner struggle that I'm still battling to this day. Is how much of that leadership position I never asked for, never wanted to be in, but I'm kind of in and have been with what we've done for a while. When Remy and I started, I was in full-time radio for many years and he was just getting started. So of course I could understand why you would look to me to kind of lead you down this path of like, here's how we do this. And I've experienced this before, but also adding other people in, like I am not in a leadership position. I also fought and wanted us to make the same amount of money, so we were in the equal position and equally responsible for this kind of thing. So that's just my personal struggles with that. But it's tough
Yeah.
because it's business, and when you hear about the industry, it's constantly cuts. You don't hear about people taking risks. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. I I think the quality of the view is important and is undervalued in a lot of the online world for sure. It is definitely harder to build an organic and true following than it is to just find some girl that says Haktua on that thing and give her a podcast and a bunch of money and then sign up. But I don't know. Does anybody regularly listen to that show? Is she going to have a podcast for the next 5 years? Or is this just a fly by night kind of thing? And I'm going to guess it's probably a fly by night kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, and it's probably not going to last very long, which is fine. Get your money, leave, whatever, do what you got to do. But I think the push and the pull with thinking about starting a new radio station or thinking about starting a new brand or whatever is, do we want this to be pure and deep, or do we want this to be just based on views and it doesn't matter? So a view could be 3 seconds, a view could be 30 minutes. That's huge. That's a big difference.
Hmm.
And if I am advertising, I would much rather have the person that's engaged for 30 minutes as opposed to the person that's just scrolling on by. So I don't know. I don't know if that answers the question at all, but I would say if I was going, like, if we were going to do another station, that we'd want to build that from the ground up, you know, and really focus on our content being who we are, and not having to tailor it to whatever the company's initiatives are. If you're having a concert or whatever, fine, but like, I don't know. I don't. I was always nervous whenever, like, we had a remote where it was like, Mason and Remy are going to be here at this time. Come meet them. Come hang out. Come do the
Hmm.
things, because we didn't build up to that. So we show up to a random Hot Shots location, and there's like 7 people there, and you're like, "Ugh, what happened here? What went wrong?" And it's just because you don't have that true following that will do anything to be with you or to consume whatever you're putting out there or buy whatever you're selling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that was a big part of it, is that salesperson probably sold something that was oversold, and we thought it was just the normal thing where we're like, "Hey, what's up? It's a remote." You know what I mean? And they're
Yeah.
like, "No, this is supposed to be an event." "Oh, what? Are we supposed to do like a podcast, play games, plan events?" Like, I don't know what you're expecting to get from us, but nobody said anything about that. You know what I mean? Although my family was drinking out of my Mason and Remy Hot Shots mug just the other day,
Yeah. We
the
still have
glasses that
ours.
we, yeah, and that's awesome. Those are the little things that he and I get after it's done. You know what I mean? Those little moments where you go, "That was a cool moment." That was fun.
Yeah.
Because in those moments, we're so worried about what that event is going to be like and how that relationship with that client is going to go, that there is zero creativity that can even go into it. We're too stressed out about it. And that's where creating art and selling commercial things is they bump. You know what I mean? And when we talked about consultants who would tell us to be artists, and our bosses who would tell us we're a business, that's
Yep.
that's where things get tough, and that's where uh, um, uh, fighting to say where the rubber meets the road. But it is, right? It's the bottom line is, this is a business, and they sure as shit aren't taking any chances right now, because there's no money to take any chances. There's no budgets anywhere. You got to pay all those big shows. They're millions of dollars to make a few bucks here and there. And um, I just saw, my wife said, I listened to um, Charlemagne talk to uh, the nominee, and I went, "Never forget that your husband was donkey of the day one day." I'm one step away from a presidential candidate. You know what I mean? That's how close we are. But we can kind of move on. I know that we had a bigger topic we wanted to talk about. Maybe that's something that someone would look at and go, "You know what? An interview with the president would be pretty cool." That's kind of an inspiration. I'm not trying to knock the man down. He's done a lot of work. He's been on stations for a long time. A lot of the people that have that opportunity to be a show that's on so many stations, on a company that has such a large reach, they're in a very lucky position. Had we had an opportunity, we'd probably be one of them, and there would be somebody else bitching about them on YouTube, about us. You know what I mean? Because we would have taken somebody's job, and this is the machine. This is kind of just what it is.
Yeah.
So no disrespect to anybody. I wear my donkey of the day like a badge of honor, as if it were tattooed on me for the rest of my life. If you search my name, but it's fine because life goes on. But that could be an inspirational moment for some people to go, "I want to be someone that the presidential candidates come to." And then I see them on stream with like these other guys and doing the podcasts. And I thought for a second, when you talked about the hawk to a girl, like, are we in a world where a presidential candidate might go to a podcast? We are,
Yeah.
because podcasts are the new Tonight Show. And when you're promoting a subject, you just go to LA now and stop off in Mark Maron's garage and talk to him for a bit. And then you go over to Bobby Lee's house and you do that one. And then you go to somebody else's comedian. You know what I mean? It just seems like what's happening now. And I love the fact that we are not so honed in on night television that this is the only spot I would know that Ariana Grande has a new album out. Like, great. Market to me in a different way, I guess. But I didn't want our podcast to be that, which is why we don't have a ton of like guests on here other than people that you may know. Um, so where does inspiration come, and, you know, where does it take you? What inspires you? It's kind of what we wanted to talk about in this episode. It's kind of like we got off on a lot of tangents there. So apologies as we're approaching the 1 hour mark and just now getting to the topic. So might be a bit of the longer 1 hour than we have been anticipating. But like when it comes to inspiration, Remy, how do you find it? Where do you go for it? And what inspires you?
Yeah. I don't know. I think one thing that, and maybe you instilled this in me whenever we were kind of coming up in radio, but whenever you are feeling an emotion or you're feeling a way, then it's likely that somebody else will also feel that. Write it down. Let's talk about it. You know, that kind of thing. You know, I go back to, we saw a Wild Robot in the theaters a couple weeks ago, and I knew going into it that it was gonna be emotional. I won't give any of it away, but I knew that I was going to be emotional in that. And so the topic arises out of that. Well, do you cry openly in theaters?
Yeah.
As a dude, are you allowed to do that? You know, and that's some inspiration. That's like a very like surface level kind of inspiration if you were looking for a topic to talk about on a show. But for a deeper inspiration, I mean, I've always been someone that may or may not find ideas in the wild when I'm intentionally going. So we talked about this, I think maybe a couple weeks ago, but if I'm feeling stressed or I'm feeling lost or I just need a break, I'll go to the art museum and just walk around. I know nothing about art. I'm not going there because I know that this Monet is revolutionary in the impressionist world of whatever. I'm just going because I know that there's so much thought and feeling and emotion that has gone into all of these works of art, and to be surrounded by that, you know, if I can just absorb any bit of that in that moment, maybe I can find some inspiration there. Going on a walk in the woods is also something that I used to do. The Creve Coeur Lake was nearby our one of our first homes in the St. Louis area. So I'd go walk the trail, but they had like a woods trail that you could walk and not just the paved trail. So that was always fun. But I think most of my inspiration, if I really had to boil it down, has come from either working out or showering. Those
Well,
two, those
that's
two
good.
things. Yeah. For whatever reason, it's because I think it's, you know, it's just you're in your thoughts, you're in your head. Your body's just kind of your body's just doing what it does, right? Especially when you're in the shower, you're just going through the motions of, you know, washing your hair, whatever, but you're thinking. And I think a lot of my good ideas always came from the shower.
I like that.
Weird to
It's
say,
interesting.
you know. I was just thinking about you in the shower, and
No, no, no. I love that. I was just thinking about, as you're saying that, like, you look internally for inspiration, like wherever you are when you're doing it, you're, you know, alone and kind of like with your thoughts and trying to find it. Some people look to other things to inspire them. Like I remember seeing in the Ferris Bueller movie where they all go to the art museum and they're standing in front of the picture. Well, we took Keaton when he was like 10, and we have a picture of Keaton standing in front of that same painting. And it wasn't that the painting was inspiring or that Keaton was inspired, but I was inspired watching Keaton look at this painting.
Mhm.
Just like interesting, like what inspires you. And it makes me go, damn, this kid is seeing this for the first time, like this thing. And he is having so many thoughts about it that, imagine right now taking Leo or Emerson to an art museum. This kid's probably just like, and I'm not saying your kids, but some kids might be like, can I just have my iPad, please? You know what I mean? Not even interested. And here we had a kid who was like appreciating, and I went, damn, yeah, we're doing something right. You know what I mean? That inspires me to be the best
Yeah.
for them. You know what I mean? For them be. And I'm not always the best inspiration. You know this. I'm not the best. It's been one of the biggest fears and probably one of the reasons that I never had this, like, I wanna have a kid thing, is that I always feared. I knew I was not a stable person. So, always didn't want to snap, and I know how hard those years are, those formative, "Oh my god, I just had a baby, this is the biggest thing ever" years. I've been afraid of that my
Yeah.
whole life. But seeing how things can inspire Keaton, or even seeing how my wife can be inspiring to me when I'm in a hole, that happens sometimes. I need to be talked off a ledge sometimes, but different perspectives from different people can inspire me to be better and be different. Um, I I'm sorry, I'm looking back at my keyboard right now because it's just out of frame. You can't see it. Um, but I was listening to a podcast where they break out different parts of songs,
Mm.
and it's usually a popular song. I think it's from the 90s. I'm sorry if I'm butchering. It's probably like 60 songs about the 90s or something like that is the podcast. And this guy would get the stems. Do you know what that is? Like the
Mhm.
different tracks of this. And he would go through and he'd listen to, like, you'd hear this, and he was playing Belle Biv DeVoe Poison. And he was like, "This is a sample of this song, this is a sample of this song, except this bass line is unique." And he plays it, and it went doom, doom, da-doom, da-doom, doom, da-doom. I was like, "Of course, that's the Belle Biv DeVoe Poison bass line that everybody knows." And in that moment, I was inspired to make a bass line for the Friday Jam. I do not have one to play for you. Stop it. Like, I just want to
Oh,
make
here
sure I
here we
manage
go.
expectations. I'm sorry. No, no, no. But I also have, like, drum kits on there. And so Remy, who was, kind enough to strum out that guitar for me, I'm sitting here for the last couple of days going, you know what I mean? Like, just playing, I found inspiration again. I found that,
Yeah.
Friday Jam, of
Yeah.
all things, something we did every week for 10 years that one might say is super played out, but there's so many more places that you can go with it, not just the Friday Jam,
Yeah.
but let it be an example for anything and everything in your life, in that it isn't what you think it is. It can be so much more if you give it the opportunity to be.
Yeah.
And it's something I think I didn't see until later in life. Sorry, you see that
Yep.
fly? Am I
Yeah.
crazy?
They're about ready to all die. It'll be good.
Winter.
Um,
Winter is coming.
you I think the muscle that needs to be worked out in this situation, I've got two things I want to say here. The muscle that needs to be worked out is the muscle that is the click, right? Is the I can make something from this. You can get inspiration from anywhere, right?
Mhm.
You mentioned Keaton in front of the painting. This just happened yesterday. This is very surface level, but Leo came to us at dinner and was like, "I want to design T-shirts. I want to like, how do I do that? What's because Lauren was talking about getting an app that she was maybe going to mess around with and
Mhm.
try some T-shirt ideas or something." And I think he may have taken some of that and been like, "How can I make money selling T-shirts to my friends?" And I was like,
Hell yeah.
"Do we have like an entrepreneurial
You
child?"
do. Yes, you do.
But that inspired me. And I was like, well, yeah, let's work this out. I mean, I would love to work with a tiny little mind like him and be like, well, what would you put on a shirt and go from there. The other thing was Cody Fry does that. I've mentioned him several times. He's the guy that uses the symphony orchestra and writes the symphony orchestra to kind of pop music. But he does this thing on his YouTube channel where he'll go through the score and he'll walk through the score and why he chose this sound and
Mm.
he did Sound of Silence and there's a part in that where he references cancer or something, and that reflects in the sound of the orchestra. He's like, "This is what I think cancer sounds like," and
Oh,
it's just
wow.
this kind of like ominous, kind of
Mhm.
scratchy tone. But you start to listen to it in a different way when you hear it because you're like, now I know this came from this piece and this
What he
came
was
from
thinking.
John Williams inspiration and this came from what he thought cancer sounds like and this is and it's just like all of these things culminate into one thing and you're like gosh that's where it is. It's not necessarily what's inspiring you, it's the conversion of the inspirational thought into the concrete whatever idea you've been kind of pondering.
Yeah.
Um,
What is being inspired? Are you making
yeah.
something, or is it just the way you are? Is it, influencing a purchase? Whatever that is. It's always interesting as to what can inspire someone or inspires other people, whether it's driving through a neighborhood and seeing something that you like and that inspires us to do some landscaping in a similar way, or if it's, um, hearing a podcast that does, and I'm not one that usually like, yeah, sure, I'll listen to a random podcast, but we were driving back. This is a podcast my wife likes. I've always wanted to produce music, and now here I am, in my adulthood, in an environment I've created that harbors this dream, and I have the full capability to do this. So now I just need to actually do it, which is probably something that I think a lot of people struggle with from time to time, is waiting,
hmm
thinking that it's not ready yet. But if I know anything, it never will be unless you do something. So, do that shit.
Yeah.
And I know that's hard. I know it sounds, take the steps, lay it out. Where do you start? How do you start? For Remy and I, in a Friday jam, it's that guitar. And that's where we're starting. And how from there will that inspire what comes? I don't know. But I'm excited about it.
hmm
And it's been a while since I've been excited about something like that. You know what I mean? Like, as much as I know that when these little creative things hit you, it can kind of come in waves. And then life can hit you. And those waves are now dry land, and it's hard to re-get that, hard to re-get the water, hard to re-water the waves. You know what I'm saying?
There's so many times in a day when my wife will come in and ask me a question. I'll be like, "Hang on one second, let me finish this entire thought first,"
Everything in the world.
because I know that I'll forget or it will pass because
Yeah.
I'm distracted by whatever is needed in that moment. So,
All of my friends for my entire adult life will tell you that I have been talking to my phone for as long as I can. Remind me, let's
hmm
not forget.
hmm
You know what I mean? And that has really saved my life. Whenever I was going to bed last night and I said, remind me at 9 a.m. to talk about inspiration with Remy before we record. You know what I mean? Like, I do this so regularly, and it's really helped me better manage these different things that are in my life. So, thank you to the AI personal assistants provided by Apple,
hmm
and the others who are there for all of us. And that when we sit back and don't realize that nobody had any of these things 20 or even 30 years ago, how did we live? How are we all still here? We found a way. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
interesting. We can all find a way if we give it enough time.
yeah,
Um, Interesting enough, we're a lot of our stuff has been inspired by the Lonely Island, if you are not already
hmm
aware. Um, and they just came back with Andy Samberg playing uh, Kamala Harris's husband, Doug. He was there. I just listened to this podcast about Sushi Glory Hole, which, if you have not heard yet, is a
You
very
sent it
funny
to me. I have
sketch.
not listened to it yet.
They talk about it in there and how they came up with the idea. And first off, Akiva, one of the guys, just made a joke about it, and that was it. But it kept coming up, and eventually they knew this is something.
Yeah,
And I feel like that alone should be an inspiration for anybody to know that that stupid thing you keep saying has potential. That dumb idea you thought about could be real, because it could be, you just need the right moment. And for those guys, it was like, he's on SNL. Maybe I can pitch this to Lauren Michaels and they'll pay for it.
I
And
can't
it
even
worked.
imagine what that
No,
pitch was like.
that's a different world. That's a different world. It's funny, as they said, what did Lauren think of Sushi Glory Hole? He said, I saw him at the after party, and he said, good job, boys.
Yeah, that,
That's it. You know what I mean? Like, I
I
expect
bet.
nothing less.
Now watch next.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the hard part, is you're chasing that forever. But like, that inspiration is there. If you can find it, take a second to sort through it and find whatever it is and hopefully it's inspiring you to do good stuff. I want to make sure we're not inspiring the next terrible news story or something like that.
Yeah.
Don't follow your heart in that direction. Stay on the legal side of chasing your dreams, and don't make nightmares for other people along the way. But I think that some of these, we talked a bit about confidence in the last episode, and I think that these are important things, important stuff for people to talk about um how we can inspire one another as well, because that is not the norm. We talked about social media kind of having an impact on your confidence, right? And that's not inspiring. It doesn't feel good to read these things and then go out and back at it again for another Tuesday. Here we go. You know what I mean? Like that stuff's hard. So keeping a good headspace so that you're inspired to do what you know is right, which is like for me, it's no touching. I'm out of touch. You know what I mean? Because keeping in touch is draining, bro. Like I
Mhm.
can't do it anymore. I used to have, it felt like I had to be so in touch. Like I would come in the next day and be like, "Oh, you guys didn't hear about that thing? You didn't hear about that thing? You didn't hear about that thing? You didn't hear about that thing?" Like over and over. And I know it probably had an impact on you guys. Like, what is this
Yeah.
guy doing? But it was driving me crazy too. And the day that I drove down, was it 270 around that curve, and you and I were on the phone, and I was going, "You're gonna be all right, buddy. It's gonna be okay." Like, I feel like I left it there. I left that I need to know about stuff there. Um, and I know that some people might frown on that. You know what I mean? As, "Oh, it must be nice to turn your back on the problems in the world while we all suffer through it." That's,
Mhm.
listen, I've got my own batch of shit that you don't know about too. So never underestimate anybody's struggle. Never underestimate anybody's inspiration for doing what they do. Um, be kind, right? Like we said in the last episode, let's all be a lot cooler. Be a lot cooler if we did, you know, stop being dicks.
I think that's kind of a generational thing too. And who knows how Gen Z is going to be with the news, but I feel like anytime, Casey and I would talk about the news, it would just be like, yeah, I don't it's all bad. Like why would I subject myself to
Yeah, I don't want to
that?
watch any of that. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel good.
But for me, I still feel, and Lauren will attest to this too, I still feel some sort of uh, obligation to listen in some way, shape, or form. 5:30 rolls around, and
You turn on the news.
I'll at least listen to like the first two or three
No,
stories
that's
from
fair.
left to right.
I do still do that. I do still
Yeah,
do that too. Like I watch the news. I don't want you to think like I have no idea what's going on anywhere, but just not to the level that like I am constantly scrolling and
yeah,
taking in, because at that time when we were on the air, I was looking for audio or clips to play or
yep.
something, you know what I mean? Or maybe we can turn something into a song, you know what I mean? If I take in enough media and drown myself in content, we'll have enough. And it was just overwhelming now,
hmm
overstimulating. Now,
And and
yeah,
I feel like now if it's big enough, you're going to hear about it in some
exactly.
way. If you are available on the internet, not even like even if you're not on a news site, you will see hundreds of pictures of the aurora borealis
Oh
that
my
nobody
gosh.
that nobody actually saw with the naked eye, but just took on their phone and were like, "Oh my gosh, it's a bucket. It's been a bucket list thing for me to see the northern lights." And you can't, like, your camera did the work,
I
anyways.
tell you, I didn't know that that was a camera thing. I did not read that. I
Yeah.
saw all the pictures and so my wife went to bed and I told her the next day. I went out back. I didn't see any of that shit. I had no idea days for someone to go like, "Oh, because your phone caught it. You couldn't see it with your eye." I'm like, then what are we doing?
Yeah,
What-
yeah, yeah.
I can edit pictures.
It's just
It's
long
the same.
exposure. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
it's
so
wild.
that's what people were doing with that, and then now it's the comet. There's this comet that's hanging out. The 40,000 year comet. You won't see it again for 40,000 years. And I went out last night, particularly for this. We have it was in our backyard, but we have giant trees in the backyard, so I had to drive to a different location to kind of
Oh,
see it, and it just looked like the North Star to me. It was
just
very,
bright.
very bright, and you get all these pictures online of this giant tail. Well, you can't see it with the naked eye. You have to take the long exposure on your phone. Anyways, we're off track, but
No,
my point was being that you'll see it if you're online. You will, if there's something that is huge and will affect your daily life, you will see it. You don't have to actually go to the Today Show or nightly news or whatever to seek it out. It will come to you almost,
I
which is kind of
remember.
scary.
It is. No, I remember that feeling because we used to live in such a I want to be a part of a live event. You had to watch the Super Bowl to see the commercials. You don't.
Mm-mm.
They're there tomorrow. They're there a week in advance. They're there a week after.
Mhm.
Any moment that is happening anywhere is going to live. I don't need to
Yep.
watch anything anymore.
I'm
because
telling I haven't watched Saturday Night live on Saturday night in years.
why do you have to?
I still watch it, but I watch it on Sunday morning and I watch it on YouTube.
Yes. Why would I
Oh.
stay up like and sacrifice sleep, the greatest of God's gifts? I'm not even a holy man. But no, like you're right in that. I remember the number of times they'd be like, "You're gonna live tweet the whatever show again," and it's like, no, like that was fun for a minute until everybody started doing it, and now I don't have to do it anymore.
Mhm.
Now I need to find a new thing. I can roast this show tomorrow.
Yeah.
I can only roast the best moments of the show. I don't even have to waste 3 hours watching it. There'll be 5 highlights that come out that I can go bang, banger, 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 banger. We're done. Look at that. It's efficiency now.
Mhm.
We're not about the experience. Holy shit, who wants to freeze their ass off at Soldier Field and pay $50 for a beer and $75 for parking when I can watch it at home? I don't
Mhm.
have to go. Like, you want to go to London, that's cool. Like, have a trip, enjoy your time. If you're a huge football fan, chase your dream, whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
But let's be honest.
Yeah. I had that first experience at State Farm when I was there in creative services. We were covering parts of the home run derby because State Farm had sponsored it, and my crew was terrible. They were terrible people, and I got excluded from the home. Like someone found tickets, and they're like, we only got 4, but there's 5 of us. Who's staying? You.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
And so I watched it from my hotel room, but the hotel had, I don't know what hotel we were staying at, but it had like a 55-inch screen, HD, everything's right there in front of me, and these guys are like up in the nosebleeds not seeing shit, and
Yeah.
that was the first taste of that, where I was like, I didn't have to go through any of this adversity, and I'm a baseball guy,
Mm-hmm.
and the experience of that and being there would have been cool. But like you said, I mean, I've been to a Bears game when it was 20 degrees. It's not fun.
Why do I
There's
need to do that
nothing
again?
fun about that.
Yeah.
I got nachos and cheese, and the cheese was freezing by the time I got back to my like, what are we doing here?
I legitimately remember going to see a Bears game with my friend Fritz, who you've met, and he was upset that they didn't serve Bud Light, so we left at halftime. Like, what a world. What is this? These tickets are super expensive, and you're pissed because you can't drink some other piss water? I don't know. Whatever. No offense, Budweiser folks. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just it's weird. We're weird people. But there are people who love it, and more power to you. Love whatever makes you happy, and wherever you find that inspiration, chase it and just dive in. Nothing is going to feel better than knowing that you did what you enjoyed. So let them think whatever they want. Whether you're writing songs about a sushi glory hole, singing about Friday, just trying to get the word out about what your life has been like we're doing here, so that maybe somebody else in the future doesn't make either the same mistakes or go through the same thing. And then also, letting people know what's going on in your world, who you are in between all that, where we only had 1 to 2 minutes of time for 10 years to talk to you. And it was usually about some very specific stuff and probably scripted out in a way that didn't give us this kind of a freedom. This inspires us now. I think, I'm sorry, I don't mean to speak for you, but like the ability to have this platform to be able to say what we say. I said some stuff in the last episode. I was like, oh, some people might be upset about that. And then I went, wait, who fuck cares? Who cares? Like, I don't have a boss that's going to come at me about it.
Yeah.
I don't have somebody who's going to be like, by saying that you isolated I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you for watching. And if you didn't like it, try the next one. It'll be different.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had anything else about inspiration.
You really like Garth Brooks, and in which case he may get mentioned in every episode.
You might from here on out. It's been giving us good numbers.
Yeah.
The analytics are on our side when it comes to Garth.
Good decision, Remy.
I was looking back at our last interview with Garth Brooks, and how weird that was, how weird that felt.
Yeah.
I remember always going, Garth's a family guy. Every time I talk to Garth, I'm going to ask him about the family, just to establish the foundation of, hey, Garth, me and you, buddy, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, how's the family? He goes, oh, they're all good. They're all good. Hey, how about you? Like, he did one of those. He goes, how about you and yours? And I was like, who the fuck does that?
Yeah.
It's weird. Hold on.
Stop.
What? Hey, reach out and touch me, Garth. Sit down. I'm sorry. Bring it back. We can wrap here. I think topics like inspiration and we talked in the last episode too, about confidence. I think there are some others that I think are key for us. We obviously are very creative. We like to have fun. These are some very, I think, uh, like meaningful topics to everyone on Earth. Not that I'm trying to push things like fun on you,
Mhm.
but open your mind to it for a minute, and it might be more enjoyable than it is without.
But
And
groceries.
yeah, I'm not no fun. Um, maybe in future episodes we'll talk about that. Um, last thing I want to talk about is this hat that my wife bought me.
Oh, let's go. Is it a
You
beanie?
see it, right? I mean, I'm at this stage of my life, right?
Oh, we are doing the cabbie
Can I
thing,
wear
huh?
this with headphones?
Yeah. Look at you.
Is it doable? Do I need elbow pads
I'm pretty
on
sure
my?
it needs to go backwards.
Oh no, it's not a Kangol. Now hold on, bro. It's not.
Okay.
If it was, ooh, wait a minute.
Come on
I've
now.
honestly
Let's
never
go.
looked at it backwards.
There you go, dude. That's it.
Is it? God damn, I never looked at it backwards. I'm
You know
not
what's
gonna lie to
funny
you.
is when we were moving from Chicago, I somehow happened upon a box that we didn't unpack from the last move
Yeah.
and found an old baby blue Kangol that my wife had.
Oh, yeah.
So
You gonna sport it?
see, it kind of looks just like a backwards hat at
It
this
does look like a bass.
point.
I
I
do
think,
feel like right now I could sing Nookie from Limp Bizkit and it would
yeah,
work.
yeah. I think maybe you go forward on the podcast.
Hmm.
Um,
I don't know if I'll ever wear it on. It. I do like. I'm not gonna lie. I like the way it looks backwards. I've never tried it backwards. I've had this hat for a year plus.
hmm.
I wear it this way because I feel at my ripe age of 45 that I am old, and this feels right.
What is that style of cap? Because
I,
that's definitely not a hat. That's a cap.
cap,
Right?
yeah, definitely a cap. I've heard. Is it a? It's not a bowler, is it? Or no? That's
Not a
like
bowler.
round. Um, commonly referred to as an. I'm sorry, old man hat, right? Old man hat. Do you remember when the baseball hat turned into a dad hat?
Yeah.
It did. As it did. It did for your kids if it didn't for you.
It's
Is
called a
what I-
flat cap.
Okay.
Usually
this-
made of tweed
Yeah, this one is very like corduroy.
or a newsboy cap.
Yeah, newsboy cap. Okay. That feels right. That feels right.
There you
This feels like an age-defining hat.
go.
Like when you and I love my wife. I wear this hat often. She knows. I know I am no young man. However, there are like two scenarios where you wear this hat as a young man. One, balding, right? Fits. Okay. Let's wear this because it's not a baseball cap.
Mhm.
It's different. Or yeah, you're an old man. Like I feels like those are the two scenarios that you're wearing this hat. Where I feel like I'm both and might as well lean into it at this point.
Yeah.
If we're not getting any huge like you shouldn't do that vibes, then I'm confident in wearing this hat. Let me know in the comments below.
If you've made it this far and you've made it to the try-on portion of the podcast,
Thank you for coming to the fashion portion. I just wonder if wearing this hat is a declaration of I am no longer young. Because it feels like I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. But I do think I look around sometimes and go, I'm not as old as you think I am, but then I wear this.
Mm.
And I contradict myself.
Well, it's all about what makes you happy and how you feel, right? So if it's
Ye-
comfortable on the noggin and you like
Keeps
it,
it warm. That's important. A
Wear
lot of it is I just don't care anymore.
Mhm.
You know, I don't care. I don't care what I look like, obviously, as you can tell. There's no fighting this, up here. And I think about that a lot, obviously, with being a bald guy. It's balding, who, you know, there was a chance at one point, you remember in Chicago when they tried to offer me hair plugs.
Yeah.
And I remember there was someone who worked in television that would come in the studio, and the second he left, the only thing everybody talked about was his hair plugs.
Yeah.
And that was the moment I decided I couldn't do it. I didn't want to leave, and the first thing everybody said was hair plugs.
Mhm.
I would much rather they go bald than that. I don't know. I just remember not wanting to cross that bridge.
See, now men who are balding go to Turkey.
Oh, and to get the hair transplant,
The hair
you can't.
transplants, you do that whole thing, and it actually, like, you'd never be able to notice. There's actually one of my friends in the reefing hobby who's about my age, maybe even younger, was starting to go bald, and he's
Mhm.
like, "I saved up the money. I went to Istanbul
Shut
or
up.
wherever.
Yeah.
They like it's like the lap of luxury. They make you feel like a baller when you're there. Your face swells up to the size of like it's like you're having like a allergic reaction to seafood or something
Uh-huh.
for a couple days afterwards, and then it goes down, and then all of a sudden your hair starts to grow, and in 6 months it doesn't look like it just looks like a
Wow.
hair again. So I think it's like 6 or 7 grand. I could be wrong with
Oh
that.
my gosh. Such weird stuff happening in different places. You
Mhm.
hear about the butt lifts going on and people going getting medical treatments in other countries and all that
Yeah,
kind of
but if
stuff.
you get it here, yeah, it's like it's double or
Uh,
triple in some
And
cases.
and by the way, and how they did it is they pull a strip off of the back of your head, glue that bad boy back together, and then just slowly start implanting hair
Mhm.
follicles here, which sounds like torture.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can see why I didn't sign up quick for that. But I don't know. I've always looked at every picture we've taken and I've never been like, that's a good one. So I'm just like, they're all gonna be what they're gonna be. So is what you get. You know what I mean?
There's the thumbnail.
That's oh, is it? Oh, great. Oh man. I'm wearing the hat too. Still not super confident in the hat, but
It'll keep people until out, the 1 hour and 15-minute mark. Like,
oh,
"Where's
okay.
the
The
hat?
hat is the
Where's the hat?"
tease. Wow, we've got riveting content, obviously, to keep people around. Whatever you got to do, bud. I'm up for it. Put it in the thumbnail. Let's go. The title of the episode is "What's with the hat?" I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. But appreciate everybody who's watching until this point. Thank you so much. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the YouTube channel or on your favorite podcast platform, which hopefully is Amazon, Apple, or Spotify, because I'm pretty sure that's where you can find our podcast. Leave a comment, subscribe, rate,
Mhm.
all those things that you're supposed to do with podcasts, and maybe we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.